Welcome back to the 100K 2024 AFL preview show. We are previewing every team, same report card on every single side, and we are up to the Gold Coast Suns. With me, Dobe. How are you, Dobe?
Oh, Jev, I could not be better. By the time we're recording this is the night before the Super Bowl, so very excited for that day off tomorrow.
Yep.
RDO, day off, beers, wings, food, mates. Absolutely can't wait for it. But,
Yes.
Jev, absolutely loving rolling through these. So this team really intrigues me. There's a lot of hype around them. Let's get into it. So the Gold Coast Suns last year, Jev, finished 15th on the ladder, a 9-14 record. So that's how they wrapped up last season. Really mailed it in against North Melbourne. We had a fair bit of money on them.
Oh, that's right.
Thought that North weren't going to miss out on that number one pick. Let's get into it, Jev. So the first question, competition A graders, who do you have for the Gold Coast Suns?
Yeah, I wasn't really too sure on this, but Noah Anderson. So I wasn't sure he was a fully in the competition A grader until I looked at his stats from 2023, and yep, he's an A grader, Das. Average 27 touches, elite. 12 contested possessions, elite. Elite in meters gained, score involvements. He's a gun, and he is an absolute gun. I love watching him play. I like the sort of player he is, where he's inside, outside. He's classy. He's got the leg driving. He likes the ball in his hand. Compliments Matt Rao well. So, yeah, Noah Anderson's a competition A grader for me. What about you? Who'd you have down?
Yeah, I had two. I had, Jev, to back you up on that Noah Anderson. He's definitely, you had him at the start of last year before in your pyramid. You were bullish on him. A lot of people thought you were an idiot. I was with you on it. He's a great player. He's the number one person in their side that's, boys, jump on my back and we're going to win this game. Last year, he had 3 25 and 2 goal performances, and he also had a 38-1, a 37-1, and a 32-1. He seems to kick big goals in big games, doesn't he? And The other one, look, he was injured for most of last year, but I do have Tuke Miller in there, Jev, for what he does. He came fourth in the Brownlow the other year, I think third the year that Cripps won it, 25 contested possessions a game, 10 contested, 5 clearances, and 433 meters gained. He loves to get the ball rolling, is tough as nails, and I know that we're going to go into notable role plays. He's a key role player for this side. We saw that he could shut down the reigning Brownlow medalist, gave it to him, shoved him in the chest, said, boys, come with me, can run all day. Absolutely love him. Up for debate, but I think Tuke Miller is also a competition A grader for me.
Yeah, he was such a gun. At the end of the 2022 year, it was like, yeah, this bloke's a gun. And then he had a full, basically injured season. And you just forget. You forget how good he really is. But saying he did to Lachie Neale, remember he did it to Errol Goulden for a half as well? He's one of the only players that could run with Errol, and he could probably run with Sam Walsh as well. Like, he is a freak athlete. But against the Swans, I think we were up by like 40 points. So they abandoned the tag because they sort of had to.
Yeah.
And then Errol had a good second half or something. So, yeah, he is a star. I didn't have him in competition A graders, but position A graders. Who do you have on position A graders?
Yeah, I've gone the 2, Jev. So I've gone my cousin, Charlie Ballard.
Yep.
No, he's not my cousin. Look, he isn't the best ball user, but for what he does is that intercept possession type backman, Jev, he's elite. So these are where he's ranked actually elite by Champion Data. 7.8 intercept possessions a game and 4.2 one-on-ones. He's actually so good in the air. Yep. I just wouldn't really trust him how he kicks. Look, I would put him as that key defender, like a Sicily type, not as good, but every team needs one. So I would have him as that. And also the captain, Jev, the other one, Jared Witts, one of the best ruckmen in the league. You don't hear about him because he's up in the Suns. A 49.5% hit out, which is elite. That is better than Max Gawn, Tim English, Kieran Briggs, and Oscar McInerney. He feeds his midfielders. They've only got about 4 or 5 really good ones, Jev, but I would have Jared Witts as a competition A-grade ruckman. What about you?
Yeah. I wrote, this is where you're bullish on the Suns or you're not. This is where you either are a big Suns fan or you're not. So Jared Witts, A-grade ruckman. Matt Rao, is he an A-grade midfielder, or do you call him an A-grade contested bull? I don't know. I had Tuke Miller. If he gets back to his explosive fitness best, you had him competition A-grade. I think he's an A-grade. And then Jack Lukosius is just an A-grade weapon. I don't even know what position he plays, but he's just a fucking weapon. He's probably got the best leg in the game of like long penetrating, hit shots, designated kicker. I'd nearly take his foot over anyone in the comp. And that's probably it for me. I do like those players. I want to call him A-grade at something, but you can't call Jack Lukosius an A-grade half forward or whatever, or centre forward, whatever he plays. He's not Charlie Curnow, but he is an A-grade kick, weapon, and like when it comes to being tough, you can say Matt Rouse as tough as anyone, A-grade at like being a bull, but teams do get a hold of him sometimes. So, and then Ben King, like he's a good player, but he's borderline uncompetitive at times. So I couldn't put him in the A-grade, but that's about it. Notable role players, talk to me.
Yeah, look, he's probably a little bit more than a role player, but Jev, you probably, when we get to this stage, you probably think I'm going to talk about like a Rory Atkins, a Ben Ainsworth, a Nick Holman, but I'm going to talk about the man that sleeps with a brick for a pillow. This is the man that eats grass before the game. He does the role in which his club needs him to. I'm talking about Matt Rowell. This kid is just, as you said before, Jev, if there's A-grade toughness, A-grade clearance, A-grade hard ball gets, that is Matthew Rowell, the former number one pick, 7.7 clearances a game. Now, I've been saying for years, Jev, if there's one man that needs to learn another man's game, Matt Rowell needs to have a few sleepovers with Brad Hill.
Yep.
Learn to get outside. Brad Hill sometimes outside the fence. That's how outside that
He's buying a pretzel.
Runs that hard. Yeah, pouring beers, serving pretzels. But that's what Matt Rowell just needs to get into his game, because when he does get it, he's actually pretty good with it. Like we saw, obviously, before he went down, hurt his shoulder. He got those 3 Brownlow games back to back to back. And most of the time when he has a really good game or can kick a goal, he gets 2 to 3 Brownlow votes. Yep. So he's so impactful and he does a great job for the team. And maybe that's all they want him to do. That, mate, this is your role. We've got other people on the outside. But I think he's a massive chunk that will go forward in their success. What about you?
Yeah, I'll be super interested to see what Dimmer does with Matt Rowell. Remember Trent Cotchin was the 35 a game getter, but when he became the premiership captain, when they won the 3 and 4 years, he felt like he only had 15 touches a game, but he was moments. He was big hard ball gets. He was smothers. He was big tackles. It was diving on the footy. Wonder if Matt Rowell will become big moments, only get his 20 touches sort of thing, but then big moments. He turns games with a big smother, a big tackle, a big win ball, get it out to the runners. So I think Dimmer might look at Matt Rowell and the way he changed Trent Cotchin, and we'll see. That'll be good for him. Notable role players for me. This is the Suns. So this is where they need to take the leap. I looked at their list. I'm like, they're all just fucking role players. So guys like Sam Flanders, Alex Sexton, Alex Davies, Nick Holman, Mac Andrew, and there's more. These guys I want to see explode this year and take their game to another level under Dimmer. There's more, but yeah, I like the players they have and I like their list. But you just want to see him become super relevant. And these guys, when role players are on, all of a sudden there's guys like Graham Myers getting talked about for All-Australian discussion. Like guys just get that leap where we talk about 7 Suns in the All-Australian discussion.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, Jev. That's why when going through the competition A grades and other ones, like I didn't really see that many that actually really sprung out. Like there's a lot of talent, but none that you would actually really put in that pool. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what they do this year under Dimmer. Depth, Jev, which is pretty much a question mark question. You can go through forwards, back, midfield, bench, VFL side. I don't really care how you want to do it. What have you looked at for the Suns?
Yeah, so I legit don't know much about the Suns' depth. I know they won the VFL Grand Final last year, so their twos are fucking good. Yep. They feel like they have like 40 AFL standard players to me who just compete so hard for the spots available. Like guys like Alex Davies. Like I like him at AFL level, but I'm pretty sure he played like 12 AFL games, 12 VFL games last year or whatever. Like these guys, they come in and out a lot. Stewie Dew made a lot of changes. So I'm pretty sure their depth is fucking good. I just don't know that much because I probably don't see enough of the Suns, or I just see, you always hear about Took and Noah and Matt Rowell and Ben King, but their edges, you don't really actually know their names that well just yet. What did you write down for depth, Das?
I'm really intrigued to see how many more points they can put on the board. So they've got, which we're going to get into the young guys a little bit later, but Jed Walter, Jev, as we've spoken off air, if he's anything like Charlie Curnow, because that's what he looks like. You got Casbolt still hanging around for probably another 6 games until he comes in. You got Ben King, Bailey Humphrey, Jeffrey, Ainsworth. You've got a pretty good looking forward line. I just wonder if they can get some more pressure and just lock it in, especially at home. They're actually a really good team at home. It's slippery. We call it the nightmare on Gold Coast. It's unwatchable if it's a twilight game. The ball's like a bar or so, but can they capitalize on that once they get it in? Because they're a top 5 hit-out team and clearance team. So if they can get it forward and then lock it in and then create goals from there, they could be a really, really tough team to play against. But I'm really intrigued to see what they do with the forward line. Couple of really good experience heads now, and they look like they've still got a lot of young talent coming through. But Ben King, Jev, can he take the reins? Can he kick you 60-plus goals, 65 goals? Like, that's what I want to see.
Well, while you're talking about him, go Young Guns, Das. Young Guns, just said, that's all it says. You take it how you want. Young Guns, Gold Coast Suns.
I just want to know if the 3 academy boys are going to get a game early on. So Jed Walters, which is the new key forward. They've got Ethan Reed, Jev, the 202-centimetre ruckman that seemed to dominate every single thing at the combine. And then they've obviously got that Jake Rogers, which is a smaller mid. They've taken a liking to him to be almost like a Tuke Miller, but a little bit smaller. They were really high on them. So I'm just interested to see if they play because obviously they gave all like their points up to get those 3 boys that they really wanted. So there's a lot spoken about them. We don't hear much because they're out of the state, but I really want to see if they play. What about you?
Yeah, so this is also the Gold Coast Suns. I think they have their premiership players on their list. They just need to get AFL games into them. Bailey Humphrey, who debuted last year, we absolutely love. Love the look of this kid. Love the cut of his jib. Then Ethan Reed, Will Graham, Jake Rogers, who they drafted this year. I just want to see play seniors this year. I just want to see him debut, play seniors, get him in. They say Jake Rogers is a tackling machine. Want to see him play. But the one, and you mentioned before, is Jed Walter. Holy fuck, he has Charlie Curnow written all over him. 195 centimetres, 94 kilos, has the body already, is a bit injured as we speak from preseason right now, but the sky is the absolute limit for Jed Walter. I can see him. How old is Charlie now? Charlie's about 28, isn't he?
Yeah, about 28. I think he's a year younger than us, yeah.
So he did his ACL when he was about 24. He was ready to explode about 24.
Back-to-back
looking
years.
at Jed Walter, and he did it. Did he do another ACL when he was like 19, 20?
Yeah, so he did one and then did another one.
Yeah, I can see Jed Walter being ready to win the Coleman medal from 21, 22. Play this year, play next year, and then it's like if he stays injury-free, no knees or anything, which you don't wish on anyone, I hope he becomes that guy on the Gold Coast. And then he wouldn't sleep in bed alone once, would he?
No way.
He's a handsome bastard as well.
Imagine that, but just being able to take the pressure off Ben King and let him play with a little bit like Casbolt will then come out of the side and watch those two go to work for the next 8 to 10 years. I'm so intrigued by looking at this and reviewing this in 10 years' time and just being like, Jesus, Sun's got that one right.
I listened to I can't remember who it was now, on Honest Beers the other day. He played at Hailbury. Now he's at the Saints. He was at Carlton. Now he's at I can't remember his name. He said Ben King was the best centre-half back he'd ever seen. He's
really?
Like, at Hailbury, he was like, he was so fucking good at centre-half back, and then Max King was the full forward until Max King did his knee, and then Ben King went forward. He's like, he's cleaned up everything. So I wonder if Jed Walter comes on quicker than we all think, Ben King can't kick a goal, does he go back to centre-half back and start marking everything? I wonder. Dark Horse All-Australian, Das, who you got?
Jev, I think I mentioned this last year. We were having a look. I wanted to know what size this bloke was. So I looked it up and his size comparison is identical to Toby Green. So I'm talking about Bailey Humphrey. Yes. Toby Green's 182 centimetres, 85 kilos. Bailey Humphrey's 186 centimetres, 86 kilos. I know he might need another year or two to hit his potential, but he's shown that he's got a bit. His best 4 games last year, or this is a 4-game stretch, so 4 in a row. He had 20-1, 26-1, 19-1, 17-2. So that's not too bad. And look, I know this is why it's a real dark horse All-Australian, but it's going to take a lot more than that to make the side. When Toby Green first made his All-Australian, Jev, in 2016, before coming a forward, These were some of the games. So this is how much it takes to become a player like this. Toby Green in his 2016 season, 31-4, 22-3, 22-3, 19-3, 18-3, 21-4, 22-4, 29-2, 15-3. It goes on and on and on. And then he even had an 18-3 game in the prelim loss to the Bulldogs.
He's
like
fucking
Toby
gun.
Green is one of the most consistent players. Like that is the mold. So that's what he's going to have to do to get to that spot. There's always one or two up for spots, but I wonder if Dimmer can see that talent and almost playing like a Dustin Martin role.
Yeah.
Like, geez, this guy's is explosive. Dusty, he would open up the 50 for him. Like, I reckon he's got a lot of plays in the playbook for a guy like Bailey Humphrey. So I'm really excited to see what he can do if he comes on. There's so much talent in that side, but he's my dark horse All-Australian, Jev.
Yeah.
What about you?
Saying that, the knock on Stewie Dew was he just left the midfield as Miller, Rowell, and Anderson, and they played like 85% game time, and they just used to fucking cook them, and then they'd run out of gas in fourth quarters and stuff. Hoping Dimmer, that's different for Dimmer, and guys start spitting through there. And like you compared Bailey Humphrey to Dusty, I can also see him being used as like a Shy Bolton. I know it's different body types, but as a weapon, flying through centre bounces, sort of small forward, half forward, up the ground, and just he's a weapon for the Suns. He's kicking goals. He's at a centre bounce. He's getting the ball in his hands more, not just sitting getting buried at half forward sort of thing, being around the ground. So I'm hoping Dimmer, and I think he will start using him as he should be. And then I'd love to see Matt Rowell hit his peak. The peak we saw the first 3 games of his fucking career where he went 9 Brownlow votes. He's just become the toughest midfielder in the league. Like everyone knows it. He is the toughest midfielder. He's hard as a cat's head. I want to see him average 25 a game and kick about 20 goals this year, Das. And just make an All-Australian bench spot for just how contestedly tough he was.
Yeah, no, like he's one of my favourite players in the league, Matty Rowell. You just love those hard-nosed cats that get in there. So I would love to see him don the All-Australian jacket. Coach and captain Jev. So the captains are Tuke and Jared Witt. So with Dimmer there, how do you see it going?
Yeah, I don't really care about Jared Witts that much. I think he's the captain for now because of his experience, his love for the club, his leadership. But I think we all know it's Noah Anderson and Matt Rowell's team, and that's why they drafted them together. So I'm seeing how the next couple of years pan out. I wonder if it's about to be handed to Noah Anderson, say, going into next year. But then Dimmer, I am so bullish that Dimmer is their coach. He knows what it takes. He knows what it looks like. He's exactly what that club needs. So I'm excited for their coach. Well, when it's Dimmer and potentially Anderson, I'm super excited. What did you write down, Das?
Yeah, I think it's going to take another year or two, but initially when you've had so many other guys, so many experiments, you had Carmichael Hunt, you've got ex-NRL players, you've got just these guys like coming through, like who really is it? They're finally an established team now. They've been in the league for a while. You've finally got a coach that's won premiership. So every time he says something, like it means a little bit more. And I just think that he knows the gameplay. And remember when Richmond, they wouldn't really highly possess and try and really beat you with their skills. It's that knock-on style of play, get it forward, chaos ball, and win contest.
Yep.
They're the conditions of the Gold Coast, aren't they?
Yep.
It's a slippery ball.
Yep.
I feel it just plays into his lap. So I'm really intrigued to see if they can get that working and get more scoreboard pressure on. But I definitely the right hire. Couple years, and then we'll obviously see where those chips lay. Let's get into the next bit, Jeb. Strength of schedule. So this is judging off last year, where they verse each other, where people finished on the ladder. So 1 being the easiest schedule, 18th being the hardest. Gold Coast have been ranked the number 1 schedule. So the easiest schedule. What do you think about this? Have a look at some of the notable home games, Jev. What did you think about this draw?
So you did tell me this leading into this pod. So when I looked at the schedule, I'm like, all right, this is the number 1 easiest scheduling thing. So they start with 4 of their first games at home at the Bank. I love that. All teams around them on the ladder who they should nearly just beat. So they get West Coast and North at the Bank 2 out of 3 weeks. They just need to handle business in both of those. Then Collingwood, Port, Brisbane are all at the Bank as well. And if Dimmer can turn the Bank into what he had the Tigers at the G, like it could be. Remember the Tigers at the G over that 4-year stretch? It was just like you're just losing today. You're going there and losing. They need to get to the stage where they go into these games as favourites, betting favourites at the bank, and just make it a fortress. So I am bullish on their home schedule for sure, Darts. I liked it. 4 out of 5 at home to start the season is golden. What about you?
Yeah, Jeff, pretty much the same thing. Yeah, but big ones, like at least they get the Crows away. They get the Bombers up there, Pies, Port, Lions, and Melbourne to at least give them a bit of a crack. They almost beat Melbourne up there every year, I swear to God.
Yeah.
And they give the Lions finally a good crack.
Yep.
Notable away games. So they've got the Dogs, the Giants at Gather Round, the Swans, which is always a tough one, Brisbane up there, Carlton down here, St Kilda in the Warehouse, which are usually pretty good, Freo away, North, Giants, Essendon, and then Richmond, last game of the year at the MCG, which I think is a really good one. The easiest schedule. I don't know how I still think it's a tough schedule. Jeff, what about you? What do you reckon about the away games? It's a pretty tough away draw.
So I wrote, go to the Swans, go to the Blues, go to Freo, go to Giants, but they can go 1-3 in those 4 games as long as they turn the bank into a fortress with their schedule. I still think they'll be all right, sort of thing. So yeah, it isn't the easiest on the road. It's just, we've never seen the Gold Coast Suns go and dominate the road is all. Yeah, they pluck a couple, but we'll get to GWS at our next pod, but I'll say it in the next pod as well. Remember Tom Green last year? 11 teams, 11 different venues, anytime, anywhere, any place. That doesn't feel like the Suns to me yet. They don't feel like the travelling team yet. So I'm not bullish on their away schedule because I've just never seen them go dominate away games. Like that game against Carlton last year that kickstarted Carlton's season. Gold Coast should have won that game. Carlton were on the ropes, ready for their season to be finished, and they just laid down a bit, the Suns. And like Carlton had that centre bounce clearance second quarter that was just, what, they kick 11 goals in the second quarter or something?
It was 9 or 10 in that second quarter.
Straight out of the centre bounce. It's like that can't happen on the road, Gold Coast. So we'll see what changed from there. What did you have their floor of wins, Dust? Their worst season, their floor?
So I've been tossing and turning on this one, but I just think they have to be a much better improved side, yeah? They have to be. So giving this a grain of salt, I just think that their floor is 10 wins, which is one more than last year. Like, they have to. If Dimmer comes in and they do worse than last year with these pickups, with everyone being fresh, Lukosha's finally getting a spot, Ben King finally healthy and fit, it has to be 10, doesn't it?
Yeah. It
has to be.
I wrote 8 to 9 win side would be a pretty disappointing season, but I can see it happening. But yeah, I like that you've got their floor with a bit of expectation. So what did you have their ceiling at then?
Like absolute, like everything goes well. They don't lose at home. They win a lot more on the road. It's 14 to 15 wins, Jev. This is absolute ceiling I'm talking.
I wrote probably 13 to 14 wins. I'm probably 1 win less bullish than you are, but yeah, about a 13, 14 win team. So over under.
I've got it at, I reckon it, because I haven't listened to it, haven't checked. I reckon it probably started at 12.5, but because of all the hype, I reckon it's probably even gone up to 13.5, but I'm going to sit at 12.5 because people reckon they're going to make finals. They're going to win, and it's about 12 to 13 games to make finals. So I reckon maybe 12.5-ish. What about you?
I reckon they're a straight up 50-50 team. 23 games, is it? I reckon they're 11 wins, 12 losses, or they're going to be 12 wins, 11 losses. Go through their schedule and just do the win, loss, like straight off, tipping off your head. They are straight up 12 and 11 or 11 and 12 to me. So I reckon it's going to be 11.5. They're over under.
I just think, especially with teams like the AFL, want to show that Gold Coast wasn't a failure. They've given them the easiest draw according to the stats. They've given them a lot more. They've got these priority picks. They've got Dimmer. They want to show that Gold Coast, and they've come out and said that they want to play finals in the next 3 years. For some reason, I just reckon this will get inflated. If it's 12.5, Jev, the over-under, I'm going to go the under.
Going to lean the under.
I think. I've got to pick a few more unders, but if it's 13.5, I'm definitely picking the under. But if it's 12, I think that they just miss maybe again. Oh, just make it. I don't know. If it's 12.5, it's fucking tough. What about you?
I reckon, I'm not going to look, but even if it's 11.5, it's a no touch for me. It has to be 10.5 for me to bet or even think about the over. But yeah, 12.5 or 13.5, it's probably an under job for sure. For sure. All right, hot take. Have you got a hot take on the Gold Coast Suns, Das?
Jev, if this team does make finals, if they do, if they are top 8 side, Noah Anderson, Matt Rowell, and Tuke Miller will all be top 10 in the Brownlow.
Wow.
That means that they are running through sides at home. They're winning, and those 3 are all getting votes. We know Matt Rowell, when he's on top, he's getting votes. We know Noah Anderson polls, and we know Tuke Miller polls. Yep. Those 3 are getting 3 2s and 1s, almost like Petrarca, Viney, and fucking Clayton Oliver, how they go, and Gawn even in the middle. Like, those guys are going to dictate the votes. They're the midfielders. If they're making finals, those 3, I reckon it'll be a very jam-packed Brownlow this year, so maybe a lower count. If they're making finals, those 3 are top 10 in the Brownlow. What about you?
Das, they're not making the finals. It isn't happening. Not this year. I'm sorry. I know it's fun and cute to pick them to make the 8. It isn't happening. And I'll bet with anyone, any punishment or a dollar amount or whatever, that they will miss the finals. They're not making it.
I love it.
But on the other hand, them saying they'll win a flag by 2026, coming out in the media and saying that, I fucking love that. And I nearly agree with them. In 2025, playing a home if Jed Walter and all these young guns come on, play AFL football with Dimmer at the reins, I can see them in the year 2025 playing a final at home, even making a prelim. Then bang, we're starting to talk about the Suns in 2026, top 4, home final, home prelims and stuff. I absolutely love that they've come out and said that, and I reckon they've got the list to do it. But saying that, I think they're 100% missing finals this year. Just doing these, I've started to develop my 8, and I've got 7 locks, and I don't reckon the Gold Coast are making it.
Yeah, Ivan, once I've been going through all the teams, even though when I first looked, I'm like, number 1 ranked schedule, they've got to make it this year. I just keep bringing it back to how long I thought the Blues were going to make finals.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't.
The competition is so fucking good.
And you can't just, you are what you are until you're not.
Yeah.
And they're not a final side.
Yeah.
GWS, they're there. You got to show me. I'm not just going to go off chance. Oh, this has to be it. No, show me for a season. I'll back you next season. I think I'm with you on that one as well, Jev. I'd be hitting the under and probably them to just miss finals.
I'll tell you what, we're ages away from getting there, but I've been thinking, I haven't looked through the Western Bulldogs schedule and everything, but I think you grade every team on the Western Bulldogs. I reckon they're the 9th best team in the AFL. You call it the Western Bulldogs scale and you go, are the Suns better than the Bulldogs? And it's like, if you sort of question it, you're like, oh, maybe, then they're not making finals. I think the Dogs are basically finishing 9th, and you go, are the Swans better than the Dogs? Probably they're making finals. Are the Giants better than the Dogs? Probably they're making finals. When you get to the Bulldogs, you go, are they better than the Dogs? And if you sort of go, then they're not making finals. It's where they're my scale. I just keep as soon as I get to a team and think, are they making finals? I go, are they better than the Dogs? Like the Crows, I think they're better than the Dogs. I need to see them prove it this year. They might make finals, but they're my scale, dust. You probably agree with me. They are just that 9th team, I reckon.
It's interesting. I can't wait to go through the Dogs because even in my head before checking everything, I reckon they're making it. I don't reckon, but I'm interested to have a look at it. All right, Jev, that was another long one. 28 minutes. All right, Gold Coast Suns. We've got them, if it is 12.5, hitting the under, but very intrigued to see what the Suns do at the bank this season. Good luck to the Suns supporters. Cheers.
GWS up next. Cheers, Das.
Let's go.